The sun dipped low on the horizon as the group of friends embarked on their road trip, the hum of the engine and the chatter of their voices filling the air. They had been driving for hours, the monotony of the open road broken only by occasional patches of greenery and the occasional quaint roadside diner. Just as the monotony threatened to lull them into a drowsy stupor, they came upon it. A weathered signpost, its paint peeling and its lettering faded with age. Curiosity piqued, they slowed their vehicle to a stop beside the signpost, squinting to read the words etched into its weathered surface. "Welcome to Briarwood," it proclaimed, though none of them had ever heard of such a place. Glancing at each other with a mixture of excitement and trepidation, they exchanged murmurs of speculation. How had they never heard of this town before, and what mysteries might it hold? With a shared sense of adventure, they made the impulsive decision to deviate from their planned route and follow the arrow indicated on the signpost. As they turned onto the narrow road leading towards Briarwood, the landscape changed, the trees growing thicker and the air growing still. It was as if the world itself held its breath in anticipation of what lay ahead. As they approached the outskirts of the town, a sense of unease settled over them like a heavy blanket. The once vibrant colors of the surrounding landscape faded into muted tones of gray and green, and the sky above seemed to darken, as if a storm were brewing on the horizon. Despite the growing sense of foreboding, they pressed on, their curiosity outweighing their apprehension. Little did they know, their decision to explore Briarwood would lead them down a path from which there would be no turning back. The group's footsteps echoed against the crumbling pavement as they ventured deeper into the heart of Briarwood. The once bustling town now lay eerily silent, its streets devoid of life save for the occasional gust of wind that carried with it a mournful howl. They passed by buildings with faded signs that hinted at their former purposes. A general store with broken windows and shelves overturned, a church with its doors hanging off their hinges, and a schoolhouse with boarded-up windows that seemed to stare back at them like hollow eyes. As they walked, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, the hairs on the backs of their necks standing on end as if in warning. Strange symbols adorned the walls of the buildings, their meanings lost to time, and the air was thick with the scent of decay. Despite the growing sense of unease, the group pressed on, drawn by an inexplicable curiosity that bordered on obsession. They moved cautiously, their eyes darting nervously from shadow to shadow, half expecting something to leap out at them from the darkness. It was then that they heard it, the faint sound of whispers, barely audible yet unmistakably present. The voices seemed to come from all around them, their words unintelligible yet filled with a sense of urgency that sent shivers down their spines. As they followed the whispers deeper into the heart of the town, they came upon a clearing surrounded by towering trees. In the center of the clearing stood an old well, its stone walls covered in moss and ivy. The friends exchanged nervous glances, their eyes wide with apprehension, as they listened to the haunting whispers that seemed to emanate from the very air itself. Goosebumps prickled along their skin, and a chill ran down their spines despite the warmth of the afternoon sun. With hesitant steps, they edged closer to the source of the whispers, their hearts pounding in their chests like drums in a macabre symphony. Each footfall seemed to echo louder in the oppressive silence, the sound magnified by the emptiness of the town around them. As they neared the well at the center of the clearing, the whispers grew louder, swirling around them like a sinister symphony of voices from another realm. It was as if the very air was alive with malevolent energy, pulsating with an unseen force that sent shivers down their spines. Drawing closer to the well, they could make out faint, ghostly figures moving in the shadows, their forms shifting and twisting like specters in the mist. Fear clenched at their hearts, but curiosity drove them forward, compelling them to uncover the truth behind the town's sinister secret. With trembling hands, one of the friends reached out to touch the weathered stones of the well, his fingers tracing the ancient carvings etched into its surface. As he did, a sudden gust of wind swept through the clearing, extinguishing the light of the afternoon sun and plunging them into darkness. In the blackness, the whispers grew louder, their voices rising to a cacophonous crescendo that threatened to overwhelm their senses. Panic seized the group as they struggled to find their way in the darkness, their minds reeling with terror at the realization that they were not alone in the forgotten town of Briarwood. Suddenly, a piercing scream shattered the oppressive silence, echoing through the abandoned streets and sending chills down the spines of the friends. They froze in terror, their hearts pounding in their chests as they searched frantically for the source of the sound. In the dim light filtering through the darkness, they caught a glimpse of movement near the edge of town. Shadowy figures lurked in the shadows, their eyes gleaming with malice as they watched the intruders with predatory intent. With a surge of adrenaline, the friends bolted into action, their instincts driving them to flee from the encroaching darkness. They sprinted through the deserted streets, their footsteps echoing in the stillness as they raced towards the edge of town. But no matter how fast they ran, the shadows seemed to follow, their presence looming ever closer with each passing moment. Panic gnawed at their minds as they realized they were trapped in the grip of something far more sinister than they could have ever imagined. As they reached the outskirts of town, they stumbled upon an old, rusted gate that barred their escape. Desperation clawed at their hearts as they realized they were hemmed in on all sides, with no way out of the nightmare that had engulfed them. With trembling hands, they pushed against the gate, their strength waning with each futile attempt to break free. Tears mingled with sweat on their faces as they grappled with the realization that they were doomed to remain in the clutches of the forgotten town forever. And as the darkness closed in around them, swallowing them whole, they knew that their fate was sealed, and that they would never escape the sinister secret that lay hidden within the crumbling walls of Briarwood. In a last desperate attempt to escape the encroaching darkness, the friends pressed on, their fear-fueled adrenaline urging them forward. They searched frantically for any sign of a way out, their minds racing with thoughts of the sinister forces that lurked in the shadows. As they rounded a corner, they stumbled upon an old, decrepit building that seemed to beckon to them like a beacon of hope in the oppressive gloom. With no other options left, they hurried inside, their hearts pounding in their chests as they sought refuge from the encroaching darkness. Inside, they found themselves in a dimly lit room, the air heavy with the scent of decay and neglect. Cobwebs hung from the ceiling like eerie shrouds, and the floorboards creaked ominously beneath their feet as they cautiously made their way further into the building. Suddenly, a low, guttural growl echoed through the darkness, freezing them in their tracks. Their blood ran cold as they realized they were not alone. Something sinister lurked in the shadows, its presence looming over them like a malevolent specter. With mounting dread, they realized that they had stumbled upon the lair of whatever malevolent force held sway over the forgotten town. As the sound of approaching footsteps drew nearer, they braced themselves for the inevitable confrontation, their minds racing with thoughts of escape and survival. But as the darkness closed in around them, swallowing them whole, they knew that their fate was sealed, and that they would never escape the sinister secret that lay hidden within the crumbling walls of Briarwood. As the authorities finally discovered the abandoned town of Briarwood, they were met with a scene of utter desolation. The buildings stood empty and decrepit, their secrets buried beneath layers of dust and decay. But as they combed through the ruins, they uncovered evidence of unspeakable horrors, human remains long forgotten and left to rot in the darkness. The truth behind the town's sinister past slowly began to emerge, painting a picture of madness and despair. It seemed that Briarwood had been home to a cult, a group of individuals who had delved deep into the dark arts in search of power and immortality. But their experiments had gone horribly wrong, unleashing a malevolent force that had consumed them all. As the sun set on Briarwood for the final time, the town was shrouded in darkness once more, its secrets destined to remain buried beneath the sands of time. And as the authorities closed the case, they knew that some mysteries were never meant to be solved, and that Briarwood would forever remain a haunting reminder of the horrors that lurked in the shadows.